I think it's the most important pieces for people to understand, especially women, perimenopause, like here you're coming, is how is your thyroid functioning and how are your adrenals? I see people come in and they're like, my doctor says I'm normal. My doctor says I'm normal. And I'm like, just let me take a peek. And I'm like, that's not normal to me. Like you are like on the borderline low. What is going to get you the results the quickest?
Yeah. So tell me what those things are.
Welcome to the High Vibe Life podcast, where we are obsessed with all things manifestation, neuroscience, personal growth, and quite simply, living a life beyond our wildest dreams. I'm Moira Casaba, author, speaker, podcaster, manifestation, and mindset master. Since getting sober 25 years ago, I've helped tens of thousands of women break through and achieve massive levels of wealth, joy, and freedom. Now it's your turn. Let's dig in.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, you guys. I am so excited. I love when I get to have a friend in the studio. I love it when I get to have people like live in person. So I've got Dr. Tiffany Jackson in the house today. You are a local naturopath, so local to Mount Pleasant, Charleston, South Carolina. We have known each other
so long.
We're going to give away our age. Like 20 plus years. I was thinking about this morning. I was like, I don't even want to say 25. Maybe it's been 25, but over 20 years. Yeah. And I've always had so much respect and admiration. And like, you've kind of been over here in your world and I've been over here in my world and they overlap sometimes. But will you kind of just tell the audience, what is that, right? Like a naturopath, what is the work that you do? I know you could do a lot of different things, but just why don't we start with a little bit about who you are and what's your story?
A great place to start. Yeah, not many people know what naturopathic medicine is. Yeah. It's been around for ages. There's actually 4 naturopathic medical schools. So I went to the one out in Arizona, and in Arizona, people are licensed there and can prescribe medications. But we learn all about herbs and diet and environmental toxins and understanding acupuncture and nutritional therapy. Like you learn everything about natural medicine, how the body works. Wow. And you do basic sciences, and then you have to go to clinicals, and then it's a medical degree. It's considered a medical degree.
It's not a weekend.
No, definitely not. It's 4 years and a lot of student loans. Yeah. But they, certain states are licensed. So this is where it gets really tricky. Like here in South Carolina, it is not a licensed state.
Not surprising to me.
It's actually considered illegal. So like you can call me, people do call me doctor. I do not practice as a doctor in this state at all. I do not diagnose. I do not treat. I do not prescribe medications. And actually, I don't even want to do that. Right. I have been doing this for so long. I don't need that. There's other people that can do that. Yeah. I focus on what I love, which my business is EcoHealth. Your body's this ecosystem. I really, in naturopathic medical school, it's a little, looking back on it, overwhelming because you learn so much stuff. Yeah. You learn homeopathy. You learn acupuncture. I learned how to do physical manipulations like chiropractors, like learn the nervous system, learn how to manipulate bones, which is a thing.
That's so crazy.
And I learned nutrition. I learned about toxicity and liver and inflammation and how cells work. And like, you're literally putting all the pieces together. But when you graduate, you're like, oh, you just have this wealth of knowledge. And then most naturopathic doctors kind of then begin to specialize. They become like, okay, they got all of that exposure in naturopathic school, learning all these things about the body. They saw in clinical, like how amazing, doing all these different things, but people can't do everything. Yeah. So a lot of people will fall into like the homeopathy, which is more of like an energetic medicine. Yeah. It's the energy of the molecule.
Not many people
realize that because they're like, oh, you're a homeopath. I'm like, no, not at all. Like I do not practice. I use it like here and there, but like that's not what I am. All the terms kind of overlap.
Yes, for sure.
And some people start to do more acupuncture. Some people will do more just nutrition and things like that. You kind of find your thing. Yeah. And I had an amazing mentor and teacher, Dr. Walter Crinnion, and I just became obsessed. He was in environmental medicine. So we took environmental medicine. Wow. And it's like, what is that? Okay. Yeah. Things that we are exposed into in our environment and how it's affecting us on a cellular level. You have to remember this was 25 years ago. We are kind of giving away our age.
Where did you grow up again?
I was in Virginia.
That's what I thought. And so, I mean, it's one thing, like Virginia, and now you're in South Carolina. Like, this is not the norm, especially not the norm 20 years ago.
Oh, girl, when I first started, like, seeing patients here, and we can't call them patients, seeing clients, like, just helping people, like, I graduated and really became obsessed with environmental medicine and just what we're exposed to and learning about our food system and what's happening, like nutrient like depletion in the soil and how people think I'm eating apples, I'm eating vegetables. It's like, you're not getting half the nutrients that used to be in those vegetables. So like understanding how people have mineral deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies and how it's affecting anxiety and depression and mental health and skin. Like it's a thing, and it's highly researched. And, we start learning this and you get all excited. So anyway, back to like coming to South Carolina, like this is an area out west. It's way more common. There's a naturopath on every corner. In California, it's licensed. There's a naturopathic doctor on every corner. Oregon, where my sister lives, everywhere you go, there's naturopathic clinics everywhere. Right. Insurance covers it. Here in South Carolina, like we are a tiny little bubble.
Yeah.
And
I mean, a little bit in the dark ages, just a little bit. I moved here from California, so I get this.
Yes. I mean, it is a whole nother world. I cannot even explain it. I literally was I'll go as far as say they thought I was crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
I had the head pediatric physician and this was a long time ago, one of the hospitals here, I won't say which one, literally calling me, telling me I was crazy for taking children off of stopping them with milk. So I did a lot back in the day with autism. Like that was where my heart and soul was.
So funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking about how on the drive here about the China study and how I read, that was like back 20 years ago.
25 years ago at least. Yeah. So autism was my thing. Like, and I, just because the environmentally what the people were exposed to, the whole vaccine thing, like that's a whole nother topic. But the, underlying gut issues and inflammation that kids were having. And so I kind of became known in the area as like, go, if your kid has been diagnosed with autism or somewhere on the autistic spectrum, come to me, because we were having really good success of improving symptoms and even seeing reversals. I mean, it's crazy. Wow. Can't say the word cure, but they got better.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. But so anyway, diet is huge with these kids. Yeah. They have gut issues. They have inflammation. They are not able to digest and absorb, and certain proteins are inflaming the brain. And so one big one is dairy. And we see that over and over again with kids on the spectrum. And so one of the ladies, one of the doctors, I remember her calling me. Like, she literally called and we had a conversation. And she's like, I can't believe you're taking these kids off of milk. What are you thinking? Like, you are crazy. Like, you're going to stunt their growth.
Oh,
like, she was telling me all these.
And I'm just like the milk commercials of the 80s, right?
What is happening? Oh, best marketing campaign ever.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Milk. I mean, it all comes down. It's marketing. You're getting duped. Like, everybody, it's like, it's all about money. Like, the dairy campaign.
Yeah.
It is cradle to the grave. Just think about that for 1 second.
Yes.
This is what you have to teach people. It's like, we have been convinced.
Yeah.
I don't want to say brainwashed, but I
we
am.
Have been
like,
brainwashed, I'll say it.
Like, you have been told over and over and over again from a very young age that you need milk. Like, it is going to help you grow. It is going to, like, you need this for
calcium for your bones,
repair. And you do. We need that. Can you get it other places? Yes.
Yeah.
But no, like, this campaign, and it all went back to the farmers. And like, this is in the FDA, how it's set up with the food pyramid. It's a system. And it's amazing how we all just get kind of sold and fed this information. We believe it. I mean, we trust these entities telling us this stuff. And, but the fact that they tell you need it for, the milk mustache. Now you need it to prevent bone, breaking down. You need it for to prevent osteoporosis. Like, you need to drink this your whole life.
My kids have never drank milk because I read the China study 25 years ago. Either. Now we all do dairy, and it's not the greatest. I just told somebody literally this morning. It's funny when you say, like, nutrition is such a big deal for these children that are on the spectrum. Nutrition is such a big deal for all of us.
Oh, for everyone.
Like, we just don't realize, and we really are. I will admit that I think it's very hard in our society to make the right choices for yourself, you know, because even right now, like in real time, I'm like back on gluten, back on dairy. I'm like, how did I end up in the vice grip of this again? You know,
it's life. You're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think and this is where I feel like I can really relate to my Pete. I'm like, I don't expect you to be perfect. You're not going to come in here and have this perfect gluten-free diet.
Right.
You're not going to, like, we're living in, especially here in America, which it's tough. It is so hard. They do not make it easy for us to eat healthy. It is so expensive.
It is.
So it's like,
it's shockingly insane when you go to a different country. Like we just went to Greece.
Yeah.
And we just never saw packaged food. Like never saw packaged food. Never saw big box grocery stores. Never, like it was mind blowing that it was that extremely different when it comes to the food system. Like there really is no food system over there. It's not a system. It's like you grow it and you bring it to the restaurant, they prepare it and you eat
There's
it.
markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, us here, it's like, going to a farmer's market. It's like we're crazy here if we go to a farmer's market. It's like that's a little backwards in this state. Nope, we got to go to our local hair steeder, Kroger. Like it's like you're getting, and I like cringe. The best thing that's ever happened is like online shopping for me because I remember even back in the day, like I would go through and, you're shopping and not to be judgmental and stuff, but like I'd see this little kid in the shopping cart and like just covered in eczema and like have the big black, circles. The circles under the eyes. And like they're sitting there just like eating like the candy that the mom gave them or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, if they only knew. Like if they, and it doesn't take, but here's my point. It's hard to navigate. Like, where do I start? What do I do? We're bombarded with just sugar, gluten, dairy. I mean, that's like the foundation of our food pyramid. That's all we know.
Right.
So it's not your fault. Like you have to just say, oh, okay, wow, I've been fed a lot of bad information.
Literally,
has sucked me into a system of like, because we have choices. Where are we going to put our money? Like, it's like all boils down to like, this world revolves around money. Like, we're all working our butts off. We all, like, everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So Big Pharma wants it. The food industry wants it. And so here's the deal. You work, you make it, you get to decide where you put it. It's choices.
Yeah.
So I am just a big fan of saying, listen, let's just take some of that money that you make. You work your heart, it's your hard-earned money, and invest it into some really simple things that can make a huge difference. I am all about speed.
Yeah.
Like, I am like fast, speed, effective.
Yes.
Like what is going to get you the results the quickest?
Yeah. So tell me what those things are. Like what are those when you're like, take that money, take some of that and put it into a few simple things that are going to work fast.
So, I mean, right out the gate, a lot of things come to me. Water.
Yeah.
What water are you drinking? Your body's made of water.
Right.
Your body's like, we're all like, have these energy cells that can, like, we're energy conductors.
Yeah.
The quality of water you put in your system and the amount of minerals, and is it filtered? Is it contaminated? Like, the water is like
huge.
I could sit here all day and talk to you about water. Yeah. I became the biggest water geek and dork you've ever imagined. And
I've gone down the water rabbit hole.
Huge rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, I went there and I stayed there. Yeah, I bought a Kangen machine.
We had a Kangen.
So I will tell you though, I don't like. I'm like so sick of talking about water. I'm like, I don't sell the machine. Well, I do. I'll help people get a machine, but like I did that for a while and been there, done that. Had a wellness center for 15 years. Had a machine in there. It got so out of control. We would have a line out the door of people wanting to fill up water. They were coming from Columbia. They were coming from Goose Creek.
Wow.
They were coming everywhere to fill up. And I was like, okay, my goal of opening a wellness center was not to be a water store.
Right.
So but it's a testament to itself.
Yes.
I mean, the water changed a ton of people's lives. But you have Berkeys, you have other kinds of machines. There's a lot there's a lot of stuff out there now. So I think I'm kind of like you, good, better, best.
Yes.
You got to start somewhere.
Yes.
You start here with a good filter. If you're drinking out of the faucet, stop. If you're drinking out of the
or get it filtered.
Fridge,
we have like one of those whole house filter.
Yeah, you want to get the big stuff. So carbonated filters. First, you start binding the big toxins. I mean, that's a big thing. The chlorine, the fluorides, the leads, the big heavy metal stuff. That's easy. That's cheap to bind.
Right.
So that's your Britas. That's like easy things. But then you can start. ooh, let me get better. Because there's other microorganisms. There's other smaller particles that are getting through. Oh. So then you want to and then the biggest thing with water, and I know we did not even come on here to talk about water, but what I want people to understand is water in nature has certain alkaline minerals. Mm-hmm. So the way I break it down is just keep it really simple. Our bodies are designed to kind of eat things in their natural form. Yeah. So water, when it's moving, it's energized, right? It has this
There's life
frequency to it, right?
Yeah.
But what is it running over? It's running over rocks and soil, which contain minerals. So what we've done is we've taken those all out. Wow. We've stripped most of them out of the water, which they're naturally supposed to be there. This is why magnesium and calcium, this is why so many people are so deficient, because we're not getting water in its natural form. Right. And then when it's not moving, the water molecules change. So when you take, I'm, coming over the bridge and you see the huge water tanks, where we're holding it. Well, the government adds chlorine and fluoride and it starts adding lye to it. So it makes it go through the pipes, and the pipes have lead. Here in Charleston, lead is huge. Wow. Lead in the pipe. So people don't think about these things, and I don't expect them to, but our bodies are made up of water. What you put in, your body is this fishbowl, the way that I describe it. And it can be a clean fishbowl. And are you filtering your fishbowl? Yeah. And do you, and what is it murky? Is it most people, when they come in to my office, I'm you're a murky, cloudy fishbowl, and we need to clean it. We need to filter it. And so that's where we go into liver detox and changing your water. I start there with people because it's so cheap and it's so easy, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Right.
And I'm don't even come see me yet. Don't waste your money. Start here. So I do a whole course. I have a starter course, and it's the lamest name ever. And I've had so many marketing people fight me on this for years, because I'm it's called my starter course. And they're we got to change the name. We have to, this is the worst
But that's where you want everyone to start. So I get it.
It's the starter course. And I've been using it we've had it forever. For 3 years now, because now people have to do the starter course before they come see me.
Which is super smart. There's got to be some foundation.
Don't have to repeat myself over and over again.
Exactly.
Do these 5 things. Right. And you can go to my website. You can go get it. And it's and then we talk about enzymes. Okay, now we got water, now we got your body hydrated. Now we're kind of taking out a lot of the stuff that's making your body work a lot harder. Yeah. Then I start talking about digestion, and most people have underlying digestive issues. We're seeing it a lot more in younger kids. Mm-hmm. And it starts with the pancreas, understanding first it's understanding your stomach produces hydrochloric acid. Mm-hmm. And most people were so stressed out, we're so depleted, we don't have enough hydrochloric acid. And then our pancreas is not secreting certain enzymes to break down protein, carbs, and fats. So that's not working effectively. And it's actually part of the natural aging process. Yeah. As we get older, our body it produces less. And under more chronic amounts of stress, it produces less. Right. And I think we're just living in a society and an age where
we're so stressed so much earlier.
Yeah. And the stress is not just modern day stress, but it's I think the stress because we're not getting enough food. Yeah. Or real compounds. Nutrients. We're not getting real stuff. It's the sugar stress on the body, the emotional stress on the body. There's so many different stressors these days. Even exercise is stress. Right. Just so you know. Right.
Absolutely.
I have patients that come to me. I know you're big in the fitness, and
they're over-exercising for sure.
It is a thing, always. And it is stressing their body out.
I always say the perfect example of that is I used to be a long-distance runner, and I would say that, I could go out for a 5-mile run, and I would come back, and I'd feel I came back to life. I'd be depuffed, I'd be shining, I'd be glowing. Yeah. But if I did a 10, 12-mile run, I would come back I aged 20 years. Yeah. I went over, the hump of cross the line of stress, good stress to bad stress. And it would just deplete my body. Everything would hurt. And
it takes a lot longer.
You got to exercise, but you don't want to take it too far.
Yeah, you don't want to take it too far at all. So I don't know if you remember back when we met, my husband, he opened the first CrossFit gym here in Charleston. You remember that?
Yes.
Low country CrossFit?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my husband. And everybody thought he was crazy too. We were such a... like, people are like, what are they doing over there? That was my first little office out of his CrossFit gym. I know, here in Mount Pleasant. It was so fun. Those were the days.
Those were the days, man. Those were the days.
Gosh, before kids and just the community of people
I know, the
that
community
it attracts.
is amazing.
It's so awesome. We still keep in touch with a lot of them. But
I want to go back really quick to starter course. So I have so many questions. So starter course, water.
Yep. So,
digestive enzyme.
So enzymes are really important. So especially if people are gassy and bloated. So this is where it gets very individualized. Not everybody needs the same thing.
Right.
So
for sure.
That's hard. But it's like you can kind of we were just talking earlier before, like I'm the guinea pig on myself. Like you got to kind of just try things to see which one's going to work for you. So in my starter course, I teach starting with a plant enzyme is a really good, easy, gentle thing to do. And you just take one before you eat.
It's just going to help.
No, it's not going to hurt. Like I'm very rarely, every now and then, the more sicker my patients are, like ones that have Lyme and mold and, autoimmune, like that, sometimes they can detox and react because you have to realize when you put these enzymes in your body and like, especially ones with hydrochloric acid, well, you're shifting the pH. So if you have bad bugs in there, they start to die off. So you get a detox reaction. It's called a Herxheimer reaction. So you actually get worse. And then people are like, oh, I can't do that. It makes me worse. Well, hold up. Hit the pause button.
It's like therapy. Gets worse before it gets better.
I'm like, so it did something. So why? Like, I'm your why.
Right.
Like, let's talk about why. And those are the big conversations. It's like, okay, well, you probably had that reaction because there was some sort of underlying gut bug or bacteria, virus, fungus. Fungus is huge. I could talk about candida all day long. I feel like we just live in this candida nation. Everybody's been on so many antibiotics, and candida is a fungus. So that's like kind of the next thing. So then we need to re-inoculate, put the good bacteria.
Right.
Because
water, take out the bad, put in the good.
It's an easy place to start.
Yeah.
Enzymes. Digestive enzymes.
Yep.
If you eat a lot of meat, I would say use a digestive enzyme that has some hydrochloric acid in it, HCl.
Okay.
That's the older you are, more of my men need hydrochloric acid. And if the more stressed you are, like if you've been under a lot of chronic amounts of stress, most likely you are not producing enough hydrochloric acid. And believe it or not, people think acid reflux. They're like, oh, why would I put more acid in?
Right.
Like it's this whole kind. It's like, lemon water is acidic, but when you drink it, it's alkaline. Like it's very confusing for people.
Yeah.
So, but most of my people do need hydrochloric acid, and then it gets really tricky because it's like, how much do you need? And that's another like art of therapeutic dosing for that person.
Yeah.
So not everybody just needs one. Some need two. My husband takes like 4 at the beginning of a meal.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He eats a lot more. Like, I had one patient or like client. I don't like to talk on say patients, like, because in South Carolina, when it's like, are they a patient? Or are they a client?
Right,
like I always, this happens to me all the time in interviews. And even when I'm on, like doing my own videos, because I've worked with so many other medical doctors. I have a lot of medical doctors that refer to me. I've worked at other medical clinics just as a nutritional consultant.
Patients. We just can't call them that in this state.
It's all the lingo that you use.
Lord,
you have to tiptoe around.
I know.
But I'm a consultant. I'm just guiding and educating and teaching
you.
But I have a wealth of knowledge to teach.
I want to ask you this. You mentioned you used to, or maybe you still do, work with a lot of children. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing, for this audience, you also work with a lot of women our age.
Oh, do I ever? Yes.
So can we pivot to kind of what that looks like for a minute? So my question really is, I'm curious, because I if I was to come to you, it would be, Tiffany, I just feel like crap. Yeah. Like, I just feel like crap. I feel old. I feel, and I would probably give you this litany of like all these just like symptoms of aches and pains and not feeling well and brain fog and, well, hello, all the perimenopause stuff. Yeah. But what do people come to you with right now mainly? And then what do you do with that? Like, do you test? Do you run panels? Is it more kind of like talking to them and trying to kind of figure out, just what they're feeling verbally? Like what's the process?
So the first thing is I have this amazing assessment. We call it the personal cellular health assessment. And it's literally 330 questions. But it is talk about like, AI and how this works on the back end, like, because it's very symptomatic. And really in my world, every symptom you have is it's telling us a sign of some sort of underlying, deficiency. The way I like to teach it is like veterinarians, just so you know. And I know I just went left field here for a second. For it. Veterinarians have really identified, just think of cattle and dogs and farms. Yeah. They have to keep their farm animals healthy. So in the vet world, they know if this cow's dying of this horse is dying of this, these pigs, even coming to cats and dogs, it's a deficiency. Yeah. They're missing this. We need to add this back in their diet. They're not eating this, they're not eating that. So
that's so fascinating. It shows a sign. That actually makes so much sense.
It does.
Because the humans are in control and they're constantly doing tests where we're not farm animals, where we're just here I am, test me all the time and see what I'm,
Farm animals don't have insurance. Health insurance.
Right.
So
yes,
they have to keep them well.
Right.
So this is where it's so fascinating because it's all about nutrition. And that's what I want people to get from this. So, but all those signs and symptoms of nutritional deficiencies, they show up in certain ways and different questions that you can ask. And lines on your fingers and zinc and just eczema signs. Do you feel like you're itching underneath? Do your feet burn? Questions people never ask you. So I have the whole list. It's online that you go in and you fill it out and it gives us this whole beautiful report.
Wow.
And it just gives me a snapshot. So that's where people start.
Yep.
And it's okay, do we have gut inflammation? Do we think we have an underlying gut infection? Do we think you have maybe some candida, some fungus? Do we think maybe it's a bacterial issue? Do you need more liver support? The liver, I'm fascinated and I can geek out on the liver forever because it's the biggest organ in the body. It filters everything. For women, our hormones are broken down and conjugated by the liver.
I feel like everyone's so important. I feel like we're getting ready to hear all about the liver, not only in this podcast, but in the world. How gut health just became the thing everyone's talking about, gut health, which is great.
Yeah.
I feel like what's coming right behind that is the liver.
Oh, yeah. I've been talking about it forever. I'm screaming it at the top of my lungs because everybody's been heart health, cardiovascular, this, cholesterol. And I'm what
about all these other big organs?
Let's talk about the liver.
Yes.
The liver it does so much. So anyway, back to the report, it's that's my starting place in really trying to figure out whoa, what's off? And then the two biggest things that I really get from the report, because I look at this report before I even talk to people. Yeah. That's the fun part is they fill out all my stuff. Yeah. And I see their intake form and I look at their main concerns and I literally can tell them exactly what to do without even having a conversation, just based on all this information.
So cool. Well, 330 questions.
Yeah. So it's but they the two big things that we identify a lot of times and that I think is the most important pieces for people to understand, especially women, perimenopause, here you're coming, is how is your thyroid functioning? And how are your adrenals?
Yeah.
And so
shot. Likely.
You cannot heal a body. And I learned this, Dr. Dennis Wilson's temperature syndrome. This is the coolest thing ever. You cannot heal your cells. So remember, we're getting back to cell health. Yeah. We're getting back to absorption. We have to get nutrients into the cells to get them well. And so when your body is under functioning, and you are in adrenal fatigue. Yeah. The adrenals are two little glands that sit above your kidneys. They respond to stress. They produce cortisol. They produce some other hormones. But it is so important. If they have been just firing out cortisol forever and you've been stressed, they start to downregulate.
Yeah.
So what does that do? That kind of slows things down, right? So that's the adrenal picture. So those have to be we have to get them up and working better.
Yeah.
And then the thyroid is another big gland right here, and that's your metabolism. So that is okay, if that's not getting into the cell,
right,
and functioning right, or there's some sort of autoimmune component, which I hate the word autoimmune because to me it's the term the medical community created to say it's your fault. Auto, your body did it. It's on you. Your body's just attacking itself. It's not.
Right.
There's something else there doing it.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's not your body doing it. Your body's
I never
over.
thought about that.
I hate that word.
My son is type 1 diabetic. I have been told that I have autoimmune. My mom's been told. And you're right. The first thing you think is
You're like, my body's attacking itself. It's so negative. Hate it. Don't get it out of your head. It's not. There was something else. There's genetic for type 1.
Right.
You know, like there's different things there. But like just in general, I'm like, okay, no, there was something else that triggered this inflammation that caused this gland to dysfunction.
Right.
All right. It's not really your fault, but it is. There are, are there antibodies that are, attacking a gland? Yes. I just hate the term. I don't know why. Because I really do. It's about how we say things, how, positivity and we want to keep it. So, and it's fixed. A lot of things are fixable. When you put the autoimmune on it, it sounds like it's not fixable.
Totally.
We've totally. I've seen people reverse their Hashimoto's, reverse like lots of, autoimmune, like the, psoriasis. I had a psoriasis gal, got all of her, it took time. It didn't happen overnight.
So is it mainly you're helping treat these like Hashimoto's, psoriasis, things like that come up? I just want to understand the whole picture. So 330 questions reveals a lot.
It pulls back the layer. And really, my first things in my head, how are their adrenals and how are their thyroid?
Got it.
Because if I don't have those working.
Test those?
Yeah. So first they filled out all the questions.
Right.
I know.
So from the questions.
From doing this for so long, based on how they answered those questions, I can tell. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, and then once I hear their health history, then that's going to peel back another layer. But and then, yes, there are labs you can do, and they usually have to go to their, doctor, but I advise them and I say, hey, here's some really good labs. You can actually order them online now. This is why I'm loving this day and age.
Yes.
There's third-party people. I can actually get stuff in an unlicensed state. People can get their own stuff.
It's funny you say that.
It doesn't have to go through me.
This sounds terrible, but talking about that, I just ordered some THC gummies
nice.
for my very aging mother. And I was like, wait, isn't this illegal?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah,
we can get things from other states.
Oh, yeah. You can get stuff from Canada. You can get a lot of cool stuff.
This day and age has shifted. And I want the audience to hear that too, because even if you are in a place like South Carolina, there is so much more available to us that is right at our fingertips that can be such an incredible solution in your life that, like you said, fast, simple, things that we can do. It doesn't have to be that daunting. I feel like people just aren't educated and they don't have you as that kind of go-between.
Yeah.
That it gets scary and daunting, It
is. Well, and that is number one, just I want to, you were the people that come to you and those are the people that come to me. They literally are so overwhelmed with
and hopeless.
All the inflammation. I mean, inflammation, I talk about so much. Information that they're learning on the internet. They're and they've literally been spinning their wheels for years because it's they saw somebody on TikTok do this and that, and then they tried it and made them worse. And they're just literally guessing.
Yeah.
And that's where I draw the line. I'm you're not guessing anymore. The first conversation I have with people is listen, I got you. You have permission to stop scrolling, get off social media, do not do that anymore. I'm going to feed and fuel you the right information.
Yeah.
I'm going to immerse, they go through a 12-week program. So it's this immersion of learning all the right stuff they need. And it's all about order. I am you have to do things in the right order.
Right.
And what people are doing is they're out here just throwing darts and totally missing some really big crucial areas. And that comes back to, what are you drinking? The water. Are you hydrated? Are you dehydrated? That's a whole nother conversation.
How's
Is your body
sleep?
Breaking down and absorbing? I don't even talk about the sleep stuff yet because I want to fix these main, these are little micro changes first that will eventually help your sleep. But it's not give me something for sleep. That, we don't do that. And that's what people want.
Yes. No, I
see
totally,
what I mean?
That's what I'm saying is people want the drug for the sleep thinking that's going to fix everything.
Well, they're using supplements like drugs and it's not how it's designed. And that's kind of another thing that confuses a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because they're what can you give me for this?
Right.
And I'm literally
because of our society, right?
They just want a quick fix.
They want the Band-Aid. They want the pill that's going to change the feeling, but they don't want to change the why behind why you have the feeling. No. We've got to fix the why behind the feeling.
And I always say people here in South Carolina, I'm I could literally get somebody to change their religion and probably go to a different church before I got them to change their diet.
Right.
That's been my biggest struggle. But you know what? It's been such a blessing. Like in South, because people here in South Carolina, I mean, they love their casseroles. We're in Charleston. People love their wine.
Yeah.
People love, it's a very foodie town.
Yeah.
So I have had to navigate working with some of the worst diets on what a good challenge for you. It's the biggest challenge ever, but I swear to you, God planted me here for a reason. Like it's kind of ridiculous to think about. Like I graduated from naturopathic school, moved to an unlicensed state.
Right.
Started a practice, I did things totally backwards.
Yeah. We have so many similarities.
I'm just I worked in this unlicensed. I can't do what I want.
We don't fit here, but God needed us here.
I know He did. There's such big and the people I've been able to impact. I'm a little underground here. I literally help more people out of state, just working virtually and stuff. But having a wellness center and doing all that it's been awesome. But
it's been awesome, but it's definitely not the norm.
It's not the norm. But my point is you don't have to with diet. These people, especially here in Charleston, that are eating really just high saturated fats and not, just fast food. We're not the healthiest here. It's coming. There's a lot of newer restaurants that have opened and there's a lot newer options that we have. Thank goodness. But the diet part is hard for people.
Yeah. So let me ask you that as we kind of start to wrap this up a little bit. Is that how you're treating people? So with whatever they're coming with to you with, is it mainly nutrition and supplementation is the kind of recommendation? And obviously there's a million different ways to do that.
I love personalized approach.
Yeah.
So, but there's basic things people can do, so, but I'm going to nail it down and really get it personalized. If you were to come and be okay, yay, fill this out. It's literally Christmas every day when I get one of those reports.
Yes, I bet. It's you're looking, I can see the puzzle pieces that are missing.
I just know it when you do it over and over again. And then you hear the signs and the symptoms, you hear the history. So then I do a deep dive. So that's a whole hour. I'm going to ask questions. We're going to talk a little bit more. How was your health when you were younger? And, when you were pregnant and all the things you just got to kind of hear the story. Have you been on a ton of antibiotics?
Right.
The stories I hear and meds that people have been on and and then traumas, there's always a stressor event that everybody has that triggers something. So I call it the trifecta. It's just they had just had a baby, somebody died, and then there was a car accident or there's just this huge stressor moment. And usually that's where a lot of times there's a huge energetic shift and things the cortisol, the thyroid, the autoimmune, or they get sick. There's something that triggers it. So doing the personal health, cellular health, that's the first layer, looking at that snapshot, then doing the deep dive consult. If people want to work one-on-one, that's kind of looking in the health history. And then I love, I kind of call myself the lab ninja. I've been trained to read and interpret labs a lot differently. So we really like to get people in optimal ranges. So regular conventional doctors, I can't even tell you over and over, I see people come in and they're my doctor says I'm normal. My doctor says I'm normal. And I'm just let me take a peek. And I'm that's not normal to me. You are on the borderline low.
Let's highlight that for a second because I've had that experience where, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just trusting, right?
Yeah.
You're the expert. And so I've had this experience where I ended up at a doctor really in a bad spot and they're nope, everything's normal. This is normal. This is normal. This is normal. Fast forward 5 or 10 years later, I end up at the right doctor that goes, when did you do those labs? Yeah. I'm going to pull them up. And she's sleuthing. And as soon as she pulls them up, she's these are completely out of whack in my book. And I'm what?
Yeah.
But they told me they weren't. She's but that's opinion. Yeah. Right? It's opinion.
It's two different systems. You have one conventional medical system, and the way that I teach it, it's the RDA, the recommended daily allowance.
Right.
People look at that and they're oh, I'm getting enough.
Right.
And I'm to barely survive so you don't die of a deficiency from that nutrient.
Yeah.
You have to understand that. They're giving you enough so you don't die, with vitamin C of scurvy.
Right.
So you're barely getting, as long as you get that much, you won't show signs and symptoms of the deficiency. What if you got a lot more?
Right.
Would your immune system get stronger? Would your eczema go away? Would you start to feel better? So it's we're always talking about optimal levels.
Right.
And people are, and it goes back to the very beginning, are so just deficient.
Yeah.
I can't, it's deficiency or toxicity in my world. What have you been exposed to? And the whole toxin conversation, like that scares a lot of people. Like detox, I don't want to detox. I'm going to feel worse. Detox is a big word. I don't recommend people just running out and doing detoxes because you can feel horrible. You can feel worse.
Yeah.
It's a very slow, I call it slow and low process. Like we gotta first build your body up. We gotta get you hydrated.
Right.
Last thing you want to do is detox when you are dehydrated and you have that murky fishbowl, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like you start to dump that stuff out, like you're gonna feel awful.
Right.
Headaches, nausea, diarrhea. So people are like, oh, I did a detox. I've never felt the same.
Right.
And I'm like, like you just like re-expose yourself to those toxins. Like you literally dumped more out and your body couldn't get rid of them because you're constipated and you have gut issues and leaky gut. So you literally reabsorbed them and made yourself sicker. People do it all the time. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's a thing.
Whoa, that is
Some
nuts.
people, everybody, their detox pathways work differently. So you have good detoxifiers and you have bad detoxifiers. So that's where you get into like people exposed to like mold. Like I have a really bad mold patient right now. I said patient again, but client. She has been exposed to something. I think it's in her school. She's a teacher. But she's just not a good detoxifier. But some of the teachers in there, their livers are working really good. They're clearing that. And, so it's caused a lot. She did a mold panel. And I was actually reviewing it this morning on the way here. So that's why it's fresh in my head. But I'm just like, oh man, like this is like the root of her problem. Like this is why her psoriatic, psoriasis is not clearing up. And she's been battling this forever. Yeah. Because I think she has got this underlying mold that's suppressing her immune system, causing this autoimmunity. So now that's shifted the game of like, okay, how can I help her with that? So, but those are more of my complicated cases. But my average person just comes to me, they're like,
because they feel like
crap. I'm bloated. I hear it all the time.
Yeah,
I'm so bloated. I'm so distended.
And that's not that hard to shift.
I'm tired.
With some simple things.
I can't sleep.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm sure everybody's wondering, how do they find you? How do they get in touch with you? Obviously, people can work with you from wherever. They don't have to come see you.
I do virtual. I closed or sold my my clinic, my little eco health wellness center. I know it's so crazy.
Congrats,
last year,
though. That's so huge. You. I get that shift.
It was awesome, and though it was another God thing. One of the esthetician that I went to ended up. Jen, she's completely beauty wellness. She ended up buying it, and it was just a turnkey. She could walk in. It had the infrared saunas, the Kangen machine. So if you're here in Charleston, you can still go there. It's awesome. But now I'm just working virtually, running all my online programs and just helping people in groups. Like I've learned, like, how can I help more people? That's my mission. I just want to empower women, educate, so they can live better lives and spend more time with their family and do fun stuff. And so now I've just turned to doing more group and online, and I have courses. If people want to do them on their own, they can do them on their own. If they want to sign up and do a 12-week program, that's where they get a little bit more one-on-one with me. Those are more limited, and those are application. I know the people I can help. So I want to make sure that it's a good fit, because I know the people I can't help, and I am very networked, and I can refer them to other people. So, and it's fun. And now really what I do love, and the way that I'm going more is, creating content in the courses. Like I have like 35 different masterclass webinars. There's a 6-step gut formula, my starter course. Like I love creating.
That's so awesome.
The education pieces of it. And
you just know you can create it once and it can serve thousands. It can. Right? Like how amazing and
it's taken me a while to learn, like, because and I openly talk about, like, I'm ADD and like, I have this creative entrepreneurial spirit and I just have a passion of wanting to help people, but I'm really bad at the marketing and the implementing. So it's taken me a while to navigate the market, like figuring out the marketing and like social media and like having people, like, it's like, I could create it, but like, how do you make it work? So that's been a huge learning curve, but I finally figured it out. I got my people.
Awesome. That is awesome.
It's like it's been trial and error. I have learned a lot of things, like what not to do. So, and then here we are. I love podcasting. I think I could talk just forever.
Same.
It's just so
just hours.
fun.
It's so easy. It's so helpful. It's so informative. You just,
And it's so relatable. This day and age, I think people just want, like, just tell me. Like, I just want to, like, tell people what to do, where to start, get on the right information.
It's the
and
best.
Conversations are in connection. I think, too, that's another thing. We talked, I work from home a lot. I'm in a season with my kids and soccer and traveling and basketball and ballet. Like, we're doing a lot. We're pretty active. So I'm in my house a lot. And we get out, at the soccer, but I'm not around, like, other colleagues. And, like, I have to go to a conference to get that dose of that.
Well, we're going to change that.
I know. I can't wait. Like, let's do it. Let's start a little small group here in Charleston and start educating more people. I would love the more people I can help, the merrier. I mean, why not?
Well, you've helped so many today. So many.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad we connected.
I know. I'm so glad we reconnected.
Yes.
And we're going to link everything Tiffany, all things Tiffany in the show notes. So you'll be able to find her. You'll be able to get all the resources where all of her courses are. If you're local, we are going to start doing some pop-ups locally, which are going to be really, really fun. So keep your eyes on really both of our social medias for that. But again, Tiffany, thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I
feel honored to be here with you.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it just, like, the timing of all this, like this, I think we're going to do some big things together.
We're going to do some really big things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's do it.
It's going to be awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure you share this episode with your friends and family. Share it on your social. Tag Tiffany, tag myself, and we will see you next week.